Hello everybody in Museo Casa del Alabado. My name is Natalia Mena and this is my video for the recruiting process of a mediator. Today I am going to talk about 5 facts of the exhibition in Museo Casa del Alabado, which is called All That Glitters Is Not Gold. It's important to know that the museum has a collection of around 8,000 pieces that covers like 80,000 years of history, and in display you can find around 800 objects. It is a good idea to have temporary exhibitions because it gives us the opportunity to approach to other elements or objects from time to time. 1. All That Glitters Is Not Gold is an exhibition that talks about the importance of metals, for example, gold, copper, and silver, and their allies or their mixes, for example, platinum. It is important because they are put in comparison with other elements as important in that time. The time I am talking about is pre-Columbian art, or the time that it's before the colonization process. For this first fact, I want to ask you some questions, okay? Look at your room and find some objects that might have some metals in it, or if you're wearing some metals too. For example, there are pieces that are really obvious. For example, I have my earrings or my necklaces. But also, if you think about it, all our cell phones and our TVs, they have metals inside too. Second, the first room of this exhibition, which is located next to the entrance on the first floor, it's called Preserve for the Future. Here we can approach to some processes and labors that were really important, so we can have metals and they can become into objects, utensils, or tools. For example, mining, which is the process of collecting some minerals that are found into rivers, rocks, or maybe into the ground or soil. The next is metallurgy, and in metallurgy you are choosing these minerals, and with the use of fire or underground ovens you can help them become an object. The last one, which is goldsmithing, we can find, I guess, the most creative processes, because here you can take all these metals and create an object or a tool. Here we have another techniques that are really useful, so if you want to make jewelry, if you want to make maybe a tool for agriculture, or if you want to make, for example, something decorative or useful for religion. So, can you name a territory, a region, or maybe a city or a place here in Ecuador that you know that the territory is used for mining purposes? 3. The third fact is one of the reasons why this exhibition is important for our actual conversations in the present time, okay? So we find why migration is an important process of the development of metallurgy too. So for example, back in pre-Columbian times, we had the labor of Mindalaes and also sailors. And Mindalaes used to run by feet through a lot of continental territories to find and trade the metals. So in this part we know that metals were not only precious objects that can be used as a tool, but they were also a form of currency. So we have the X money too, and maybe the exchange with other regions and cultures. For example, in exchange of some metal object, you can find lapis lazuli, and if you were next to the coast, some people exchange this with spondylus shells too, that were really important in that time. So sailors were also having an essential labor, because these kind of exchanges were not only happening around Ecuadorian nowadays territory, but also through other territories. So we can find that there were exchanges with Peruvian actual territory or Mexican actual territory too. So the question for this part is, what do you think are the benefits of having people moving from town to town or from other territories? What do you think that it was really important to exchange in that time? But also, what do you think that it is possible to exchange with other people nowadays? In the third and last room of this exhibition, which is located on the second floor, you can enter and see some impressive objects like necklaces, nose rings, backgrounds too. And here we understand why this room is called symbolism and radiance. Back in pre-Columbian times, in a wide variety of cultures, the structure of society was vertical, okay? So they were people who were really powerful, but they were not only leaders of society in political ways, they were also connected to spirituality and economic power. And this was shown by the use of these ornaments. So over here we see that a metal cannot be only a useful thing that were made, like for example agriculture, but also it was an object that can be the connection to the gods. So for example gold, which was really shiny, really attractive to the eye, and also it was really yellow, we can see that a lot of objects were represented as currents. For example, they are called mamasara because in Indian cosmovision, mamasara, which is corn, and the sun were actually both were representations of the same god, which was Inti, which is the sun. If you're using it, your position in society was really high. In this room, we will see that these objects were put into conversation, for example, like a really big circle of obsidian, which was created to see the future, or maybe like an oracle, where you can ask some important questions about the future of our group, of our society. So over here we see that the objects that were traded to and the objects that were chosen by their leaders, they were also connected not only to the materiality but also connected to some purposes further than earthly purposes. Metals were also a reminder that we are next to the gods, but also we were humans, so we are connected to earth too. Do you think that metal symbolizes power nowadays? Which territories are now in the eye of mining companies and why? And are these companies from specific places in the world, specific countries in the world, and how that connections represent also a relation of power? Fifth and last fact of this exhibition. By the end of this exhibition, you can find a medium-sized painting which is called Incas and Kings, where you can see the portrait of the principal leaders of the Tehuantinsuyo and the next leaders which were part of the colonizers. So it is important to notice that in the representation you can find also objects, and most of them are portrayed like arms. And you can find that they are given like in an act of loyalty or kindness. But here is the thing, these objects were also made of metal. As we can see in history, you will find that there is someone who is writing the history, and their opinion of history is also portrayed there. Do you think we can create or think about or maybe imagine another ways of building societies right now? Do you think we can take out of this imagination mining companies and extractivism process? What do you think it would be different in the future if we can do that? Do you think we can find other technology which is more kind to nature maybe? I am sure we can talk about other notions around this amazing exhibition for hours, but for now this is the end. Don't forget to visit Museo Casa del Alabado in the historic center of Quito. See you the next time.